You're listening to K-Dog Radio, College of San Mateo.
Part 1. Science Gone Wrong. I was born in a laboratory, says the lightning bantam. My first memories were of a cage with 4 walls, the impenetrable iron bars preventing my escape, the glaring fluorescent lights shining above at all hours, and the mad scientist. He gave me water and food through a feeding tube twice a day. And then there was Larry. He hatched alongside me and was my only companion for all those dark nights in the laboratory. We named each other. He was Larry and I was Spark. But to the mad scientist, we were only subject number 1 and subject number 2. The mad scientist experimented on us both. Growth formulas, artificial stimulants, steroids. He was trying to create a super chicken. I guess he succeeded in the end. But he was not there to reap the benefits. This is the story of how I escaped the lab and used my awesome powers to save and protect the community. I remember how it all began, no doubt due to the genetically modified eggs we were hatched in. It all started one dark night. You're out too, says Larry. I thought that I would be alone in this hellhole. What is this place? Says Spark. I don't know, but we should watch out, says Larry. He is returning. Who is he? Says Spark. Hide, says Larry. We scuttled into the corner of the cage, but it was no use, says the lightning bantam. Time to administer formula number 1, says the mad scientist. That was our life, day in and day out. One day, we hatched a plan for escape. Larry went first and got out, but the mad scientist blocked my escape route. Then, I was forced to undergo a horrible transformation, says the lightning bantam. We'll be right back. Part 2. Playing with Lightning. Welcome back. Larry had escaped, but I wasn't so lucky. The next day, I was taken from my cage and strapped to a table. A massive syringe was wheeled out and placed over me, and a tube was inserted in my stomach. Then, the mad scientist flipped a switch, says the lightning bantam. Chemicals and lightning energy coursed through me, and I would never be the same again. I knew the mad scientist planned to use me for evil or perform more experiments on me, so I had to escape. I came up with a plan, says the lightning bantam. 2 a.m. I got up and put my wings between the bars. Using my newfound strength, I pulled the bars open. 2:10. I pushed the bars of the cage up giving me access to the light bulb above me. I jumped and grabbed hold of it. But then I was back on the cage. 214. I heard footsteps. The mad scientist was awake. I froze. He walked into the kitchen, made some coffee, and sat at the table. Minutes crawl by. 2:20. 2:25. I think he's reading the newspaper. I must catch the 2:45 ferry that I saw in the brochure by my cage. 2:30. He finally heads back to bed. I bend the cage up some more. I jump and grab the light bulb cord. My wings grasp the rubber, and I start shimmying up the cord. 2:35. I am at the gate to the ventilation shaft. I pull, and it rips off. It is dark inside, with a little light from above illuminating the silver shaft. I crawl along the shaft at top speed, and I finally make it to a grate leading outside. I fall to the snowy, hard ground below. Says the lightning bantam. We'll be back in a moment. Part 3, The Lightning Bantam. And we are back with Spark, aka the Lightning Bantam, continuing his escape and racing to catch the 2:45 a.m. ferry. I get up from the ground and I run across the snow. I run down a dark alleyway. The docks should be a quarter-mile away. 2:42. I run along the streets, making footprints in the snow as I go, hoping that the mad scientist won't be able to follow. 2:44. Too late? I do not see the ship. Then, around the next corner, the ship is in front of me. 2:45. The ship is slowly pulling out of the harbor. Run! My claws hit the ground, snow going everywhere. I reach the dock. The ship is already 10 feet away, in the water, much too far. But I can sense a superpower within me. 3 steps back, run, and jump. For a moment, I feel like I'm going to fall into the pitch-black ocean water. But then, something ignites inside of me. The wind lifts under my wings, and I travel across the water and slam into the ship. I've made it, says the lightning bantam. I find an open cabin door and climb down the rusty metal ladder below decks. I am now a stowaway. I go all the way to the bottom floor, and I walk through the dark metal hallway. Finding a metal drum, I seal myself in and wait for morning. I sleep, the soundest I've ever slept before. When I wake up, I realized I have changed. I have grown a lightning bolt-shaped tail, and upon testing it, I can confirm I could shoot lightning bolts out of it. I make a decision. The mad scientist's experiments have scarred me, but I don't have to make it a scar. I can help other people with my powers. In that moment, I knew the name Spark had to go. I was now the Lightning Bantum. I went to the ship's tattoo parlor and got a lightning bolt shaped tattoo on my chest. And I went to the tailor's and got a red cape with a yellow lightning bolt on it. I then went to the tech shop and got a little plastic ring that was billed as being able to create a thunderstorm. I didn't quite believe it at that time, but it turned out to be true. My new life as a superhero had begun. Says the Lightning Bantam. We will return in a moment. It's getting late. Have you seen my mates? Ma, tell me when the boys get here. It's 7 o'clock and I wanna get a belly full of beer. My old man's drunker than a barrel full of monkeys, and my old lady, she don't care. My sister looks cute in her braces and boots, a handful of grease in her hair. Ooh. So, don't give us none of your aggravation. We've had it with your discipline. Ooh, Saturday night's alright for fighting. Get a little action in. Get about as oiled as a diesel train. Gonna set this dance alight. 'Cause Saturday night's a night I like. Saturday night's alright. Alright, alright. Ooh. Well, they're packed pretty tight in here tonight. I'm looking for a dolly to see me ride. I may use a little muscle to get what I need. I may sink a little drink and shout out, she's with me. A couple of the sounds that I really like are the sounds of a switchblade and a motorbike. I'm a juvenile product of the working class, whose breast fin floats in the bottom of a glass. Ooh. So, don't give us none of your aggravation. We've had it with your discipline. Ooh, Saturday night's alright for fighting. Get a little action in. Get about as oiled as a diesel train. Gonna set this dance alight. 'Cause Saturday night's the night I like. Saturday night's alright. Alright, alright. Ooh. So, Saturday, 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 Saturday night's alright. Part 4, Banishment. And we are back. After my transformation, I thought I was in the clear. But, to my utter shock, the next day, the ship's captain threw me overboard. At the time, I thought it was because he had figured out that I was a stowaway. But there turned out to be a much darker reason. But that's a story for another day. I floated into the water. I floated in the water as the ship sped away. I treaded water until I was almost exhausted, and the ocean started to pull me under. But then I remembered the time before with the fairy and my newfound ability to fly. With my last burst of strength, I pushed out of the water and into the air. The wind rustled my feathers, and I was off. I flew over endless oceans, growing more tired by the hour. Just when I thought that I would fall back to the sea and die, I saw land. I flew down to the ground and came in for a running landing. I thought about getting into town and getting a job, but then I remembered the ship's captain. Perhaps he realized my powers and banished me because of that. I needed a secret alias. I summoned my powers within me and was able to transform into an old rooster, someone no one would suspect of being an energetic young superhero. I decided on a name, Mr. Grouch. That should throw them off the scent. I got a job at the local electrical plant and got a house in a nice neighborhood in the suburbs. That was where I would meet the chickens that would bring an element of truth to my grouchy persona. Poppy seed and flour. Says the lightning bantam. We're going to take a break and we'll be right back. Part 5. Meeting an old friend. Now we return to our story. I went to meet my next-door neighbors the day after I moved in. Hell was nice, but poppy seeds and flour were a handful. They took to stealing my cookies and pranking me. One day, it was a whoopee cushion on my desk chair. Next, they broke into my house and took my ice cream. Hale apologized profusely, but it was no good. And the annoying questions. What was George Washington like? Said Flower. Did you meet the dinosaurs? Said Poppy Seed. I took a strong dislike to them, even starting to carry around a bat with me to shoo them away from my fridge. I know, sounds very unlike a superhero to do, but you try dealing with those cluckers. I took every opportunity to help as a superhero. I saved people from burning buildings, stopped terrorist attacks, even volunteered as a poll worker, and sat on the city council. But something was missing. I wasn't happy. I had to live a secret life, never sharing my true identity with people. There was no one who could be my confidant, like with Larry in the lab. I tried looking everywhere for him, but to no avail. I sat in my kitchen one day, drinking some coffee and staring at the pouring rain outside. Depressed, I was about to check the news to see if anyone needed saving. That cheered me up for a while. When the phone rang, it was Hale. There was a new neighbor that came by asking to see you, she said. Then my doorbell rang. I opened it, and there was Larry. After all these years, we had found each other again. Larry, I said, and switched into my lightning bantam form. Spark? Larry said. Shh, shh, no one must know, I said. This radio drama was based on the comic book by Rudy Evenhouse. It features Rudy Evenhouse as the voices of the Lightning Bantam / Spark, Larry the Rooster, Hale the Chicken, Poppy Seed the Chicken, and Flower the Chicken. Music selection was by Rudy Evenhouse. And, well, I was going to say Dan Evenhouse, my dad, but unfortunately I couldn't get his input. Sorry, Dad. So the music selection was by me, Rudy Evenhouse, completely. Hopefully you like it, Dad. All right, let's move on. The director of marketing and promotions is Georgia Shardema Evenhouse. So now we just got to fill time until I can roll the K-Dog station ID close. We're going to hit it exactly on the mark at 59:43. I think I'm getting pretty good at timing these things. Thank you for listening. Good night.
You're listening to K-Dog Radio, College of San Mateo.